Donald Trump simply cannot stay out of the news. He is now catching more flack because of tweets this weekend, as folks say he is taking advantage of the death of the cousin of Chicago Bulls star Dwayne Wade. 32-year-old Nakia Aldridge was caught in the crossfire of a shooting Friday as she walked with her infant in a stroller on the city's south side. Aldridge is a cousin of Dwayne Wade, who actually the day before took part in an ESPN discussion about violence in Chicago, along with his mother, a pastor there in Chicago. This is what Dwayne tweeted. "My cousin was killed today in Chicago, another act of senseless gun violence. 4 kids lost their mom for no reason. Unreal. Hashtag enough is enough." But less than 24 hours after she died, Donald Trump decided to get in on this discussion and tweeted this. "Dwayne Wade's cousin was just shot and killed walking her baby in Chicago. Just what I have been saying, African Americans will vote Trump." He got slammed all across social media for being insensitive, for his tone, for misspelling Dwayne Wade's first name. He later deleted that tweet and sent out a second tweet. "My condolences to Dwayne Wade and his family on the loss of Nakia Aldridge. They are in my thoughts and prayers." Now, yesterday, Chicago police held a news conference where Superintendent Eddie Johnson announced the arrest of 2 men in connection with the shooting of Aldridge. They are brothers Darwin and Darren Sorrells, who Johnson said are gang members who were just released on parole for gun convictions. Here is what he had to say yesterday.
"This reprehensible act of violence is the example of why we need to change the way we treat habitual offenders in the city of Chicago. When will enough be enough? How often do we have to stand at a podium like this demanding from our judicial and policy partners some type of resolution?"
All right, folks, let's go to our panel. Spencer Overton, president of the Joint Center for Political and Economic Studies. We also have Dr. Jason Johnson with us, who is, of course, the political writer for The Root. We have Carmen Berkeley, director of Civil, Human, and Women's Rights for the AFL-CIO. Paris Denard, GOP political strategist. So, folks, here's what's interesting about this here. Trump deletes the tweet.
Right.
And tragedies happen, politicians comment. He's getting nailed, Paris, because it was grossly insensitive to not even send condolences, but to all of a sudden use it as a way to say, oh, black folks will vote for me.
Roland, I think that, like I said before on another network, that first of all, the condolences to the Wade family, which should have been said first, no doubt about that. I think Mr. Trump realized that the first tweet might have been misinterpreted, and so the second tweet was put out there so that it could be clarified.
Several hours later. I mean, it was something like 4 or 5 hours before that actually took place. So it really wasn't in response to the heat he was getting, as opposed to, oh, you know what, we made a mistake.
Well, whether it was in response or whether he wanted to do it on his own, the second tweet was done and it was appropriate. I think the bigger issue is the fact that in Chicago, over 2,700 have been, over 2,700 shootings this year, over about 2,900 so last year. 4 months to go, Chicago's on par to hit that mark. There's an issue going on in our urban cities, especially Chicago, as it relates to violence. And Mr. Trump has been talking about that. And so the point he was making was violence is an issue, especially in Chicago.
No, but that's not the point he was making. The tweet, Jason, was very clear.
Right.
He was trying to use the tweet to say black folks should vote for him. He has been he's been mentioning these incidents. What I have not heard from not one time is his actual plan to deal with this, because the reality is a president of the United States does not have a direct involvement on these type of incidents unless you offer what Bill Clinton did with the crime bill and when he was president, saying we're going to put 100,000 more cops on the streets.
Right. And that's the other thing that makes this so tacky and such an example of what Donald Trump's been doing his last couple of weeks. It's this gross, condescending way in which he thinks he can speak to black people. One, you're trying to traffic off the tragedy and death of somebody's family before they've even had a chance to bury this person or mourn appropriately. Second, you have no relationship with Dwayne Wade. Third, you think that somehow magically, because he happens to be a famous black person, and you mention that you feel sorry for him, that magically black people will vote for you. This is the kind of thing that people have been saying, whether they're African American, Hispanics, or any other group of people, who are saying this man lacks the temperament, the common sense, or even the decency, discipline, and integrity to be president of the United States.
Carmen, this is real simple. It's very simple, Carmen and Spencer. If Donald Trump sends out a condolence tweet and then follows it up by saying, this is an example of what I've been talking about, how we must deal with crime in cities across the country.
Exactly.
There's no issue.
No, let me tell you something. Donald Trump does not just send out his own tweets like the rest of us. He has a digital director. That person's name is Brad. Every single thing that happens on Twitter, Instagram, SMS with Donald Trump is calculated. It's not fair that every other day he gets to put out something that's completely bombastic and irrational and then take it back and say, oh, I'm sorry. He said he was a law and order candidate. If he becomes the president, we can always expect this. Him saying crazy things and then trying to take it back after he hurts us.
Spencer.
I think he was making a policy statement. I think he was assuming that more guns means safety, and I think that's absolutely wrong. The data shows that's wrong.
And in fact, the superintendent announced that yesterday that so far this year they've taken 6,000 illegal guns off the streets of Chicago.
And a lot of those guns come from Indiana, where Mike Pence is from.
All the various gun shops that are along the border there between Chicago and Indiana.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So black folks make up 13% of the population. Unfortunately, due to these kind of guns that are around, we're 57% of gun deaths. And what happens, the data shows us, white folks often buy more guns for safety, but they end up actually committing suicide. The suicide rates are much higher in terms of white men.
Paris, what's amazing is Donald Trump gave an interview last week with Bill O'Reilly where he talked about how he met a Chicago cop who said, I can have this whole problem solved in a week. And then Trump says that he sent his name forward to the two officials in Chicago to consider this guy to be superintendent. There's absolutely no evidence of that. No, he hasn't said who he called. It hasn't said who the cop is. Here's the deal. If I talked to a guy and his response was, well, the guy looked tough and talked tough, so I knew he meant business. Right. Come on, man. I mean, so it's like, really? Really? You met a cop who says, I can solve this whole problem in a week? I would love to hear that cop come forward to say, here's my plan.
You know, I think what the positive thing is that Mr. Trump is talking to different people who have ideas how to solve these problems, especially
But where's
in
the
Chicago.
idea? I haven't heard it. He literally said, this guy's said, I can solve this problem in a week. Okay, let's hear the plan, baby.
I get tweets every single day from people who think they have ideas on how to win elections and things like that. And so there's a lot of people that have ideas. At the end of the day, But
Paris, but the presidential candidate gave an interview who said, I talked to a cop who said I can solve it in a week, and I personally forwarded his name to officials in Chicago for him to be considered for the top job. Yet nobody in Chicago has any evidence that Donald Trump did any of this. In fact, they have disavowed those comments saying it's not true.
Well, Roland, until you and everyone else in the media goes and finds every person in Chicago who's a top official to verify whether or not they did or did not receive anything from Donald Trump, we can't make that allegation.
Well, how about this here? Why don't Trump just simply give us a name then?
What difference does it make?
Okay. No, the difference is you say you have a plan. I haven't heard a plan. You say you talked to a top cop. You won't name the top cop. You say you gave his name to somebody, but you can't say who you gave it to. I'm sorry. I simply am doubting the veracity of what Donald Trump is saying.
Yeah, see, he didn't say he got slipped a mixtape, okay? He said he got a policy. Why can't you tell us the policy? Okay, that's what, but this happens all the time with Trump.
If the policy comes out, you wouldn't like it.
No, actually not true, because first of all, if you actually come forward and say, here's a plan that I have to combat crime in inner city, if that plan involves stepped up patrol, if it actually involves jobs, if it involves a number of different things.
You support Donald Trump?
I would support if somebody comes forward with a plan.
No. If Donald Trump comes out with a plan as it relates to criminal justice reform or public education or charter schools and things like that, will you endorse it on the show?
Let me be very clear. If I've said it point blank, you talking to somebody who was a national speaker at the National Charter School. No. Allow me to finish.
No, I know you're
talking. I was a speaker of the National Charter School Conference. I'm launching a school choice initiative in 1 month. We're having a school choice discussion right here on TV One, and we're going to host at Howard University next month. So I'm real clear on that. I'm also clear on criminal justice reform, but here's the deal. Donald Trump has not released a plan on criminal justice. He has not released a plan dealing with voter suppression. He has not released a plan on HBCUs. Right. He has not released a plan. What he's done is he's made statements. So here's the point. When he actually releases one, then I can answer the question, but I need to have a plan released, Paris.
I'm saying if he did.
No. It's not if.
When?
Let me know when
Okay.
one's going to come out.
When Donald Trump releases a plan.
Speaking of dropping the mixtape, when Donald Trump drops his plan, then I'm going to comment.
Right.
Exactly.
But let me know when the plan gets
So
dropped.
you're talking hypotheticals about
No.
Election, he still doesn't have a plan for
I'm
any
not
of this
speaking
stuff.
hypothetical here. I'm not speaking hypothetical. I'm actually speaking of there's no plan.
I said when Donald Trump puts out a plan and it's something that you can endorse, will you endorse it if it's something
Paris,
that you can
I
think is
have been
positive?
waiting for months. I talked to 40 black Republicans in Cleveland, and I said, where's the plan? Where's the plan? Where's the plan? I thought it was a Wendy's commercial like, where's the beef?
When the plan comes out, Roland.
What plan comes out?
When the plan comes out.
When is it going to come out?
When I don't work for the campaign. If I did, I'd tell you.
Okay, give me a ballpark. Because see, right now, it's about, what is it, about 70 days for the election?
Well, it's been over 260 some odd days since Hillary Clinton's given an interview to a press conference.
Yeah,
hold
her
up.
criminal justice plan, her education plan, her health care plan.
I can pull up multiple plans she's talked about. I mean, in fact,
I don't know why it's so difficult. Why is it so difficult for you to admit that you won't endorse anything that Donald Trump does, no matter what it is? No matter what it is.
No. See, Paris, you just made the mistake. I never said that.
No. I would like you to say
Paris,
that you rebuff that.
Paris.
This is what I want you to rebuff it.
Paris.
Rebuff it.
I am not going to endorse a fictional plan that I have yet to see.
If
Paris. It's not if a plan comes out. If
Chrysler puts out a car in 2017 and it looks like something that you would buy, would you buy it?
See, this
hold
up, Paris.
I need to see the car. I don't know.
Hold up, Paris.
It may be a black car, maybe a green car.
Hold up, Paris. See Paris right there.
Simple.
See Paris right there. Let me help you out with something.
You don't have to help me.
Hold up, let me help you out, Paris. Let me help you.
No, don't help me, Roland.
Roland don't buy a car on how it looks. So let me hold up. Allow me to finish. Allow me to finish. So when Roland decided to buy an SUV because he was now caring for 6 nieces, you know what I did? I checked out the Escalade, checked out the Toyota, checked out the Lincoln. I checked out multiple vehicles. I drove multiple vehicles. I sat in them. I tested them. So you see, I don't choose jack based on looks. What I do is I want to go on the inside. So if I hear a plan, I need to see the plan. I need to study the plan. But right now, what you and I are having is a hypothetical conversation about a non-existent plan that I have been waiting for a year. So please let me know.
Give me a hypothetical
First of all,
answer.
I have talked to Pastor Darrell Scott. I've talked to Omarosa. I've talked to Pastor Mark Burns. I've talked to Taylor Loveday. I've talked to Sean Spicer.
Anything or present the truth.
That's where you're wrong.
About Donald Trump if he puts out a plan.
If Donald Trump presents a plan I allow me to finish. Allow me to finish. Hold up. Let me also say this here. Roland Martin was sitting at the National Charter School Conference in a meeting with our board, and you know what our lead lobbyists told us? They have asked both candidates to speak on the issue of school choice. Do you know what the Trump campaign told us? We'll get to it after the election. Oh. That's a quote. I was in the room. Were you?
No, but I've spoken to an education advisor.
But here's my point. No. But if they told the leading charter school organization, the National Alliance for Public Charters, that we would get to that after the election, that means they don't have a plan. That was a quote, Paris. I was sitting in the room when it happened.
Well, it's not true.
Oh, okay.
I've spoken to an education advisor.
Okay. If you're telling me it's not true that I was sitting in, okay.
No.
All right, y'all. Here's the deal. When we come back. We're going to talk headlines out of Chicago. Plus, Colin Kaepernick says I'm sitting down for the national anthem. All of that next on News 1 Now TV 1.
Do you have any idea?